right, today we're going to be reviewing Disney California Adventure Food and Wine Festival for 2024.
We're going to let you know what we thought about all the foods that we tried, and we did try something from every booth this year, and also let you know some tips to help your day go a lot better. I'm Brad.
I'm Kim.
And we're 6260 Ohana, California. Okay, where should we start?
Well, I guess we'll start with the event runs through April 22nd of this year. And so you have plenty of time to enjoy the festival.
Yeah, there are several booths, and a lot of them are back from this year. And there is one notable exception that isn't back this year. We'll get into that here in a little bit. Like in past years, you can get a Sip and Savor Pass. It is $61 or $56 with a Magic Key.
So that comes with 8 items. Something different this year, if you notice, there's no tabs.
Yeah, no losing them in your backpack.
But they do scan, and there is a barcode.
Yeah.
So that'll be kind of interesting. I don't like it because it's kind of like a pin. And
Yeah,
if it flips
so-
around, it's visible. I don't know how that would work.
Yeah, so it does say peel here and has a little pin number that you enter in every time. So that was a little weird, but I really did like it. It was so much easier not having to worry about the tabs breaking off and everything else. They just scanned and you're done.
One of the things that we recommend is go find your first food booth with a lesser line, buy your Sip and Savor Pass, and then make a separate transaction, and then decide on what foods that you want to get from each booth throughout, or what items you're going to get, and do it all at once instead of waiting in that line at every single booth.
Because some of those lines are really long this year because there is one line for 2 booths, so they can really back up for the cash register.
This year is a little different. There are some booths you can only pick up food. You can't pay and then pick up, and that's a change.
Yeah, so what they're doing is utilizing one line that are those nearby food booths for one point for paying for both those booths, and then picking up at different areas to say pick up areas. So it is a little bit of a change. Our recommendation is, instead of waiting in line for right when you get into the festival, seeing that big booth there that they're selling all the Sip and Savers, or going to the longest line, find those short lines, go pick up your Sip and Savor Pass, and then order all your food in one transaction. Just don't lose those receipts.
The other thing about that is I'd recommend, even if you're not going to eat till later, is go line up in those lines early before it gets too backed up to pay for your items.
Yeah, we did notice it in the mornings. It was a little bit, right when they opened, it was a little bit less chaotic. By the time we got in the afternoon and the crowds, it was really, really busy.
It does. So that's just kind of a hint to save a little bit of time. But let's get into what we tried. And then at the end of the video, we are going to name our top 5 favorite items at this year's Food and Wine Festival. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, actually, one of those choices is a huge surprise that we didn't think we'd ever make in a food festival like this.
Quite frankly, I think there's actually a few surprises this year.
So let's go ahead and go to our first booth, which is Nuts About Cheese.
So we tried the barbecued pulled pork mac and cheese. This had a really smoky flavor, a good amount of the pulled pork, and it was delicious.
Yeah, it had the right amount of sauce. The mac and cheese was really good. It just, everything mixed really well. And it wasn't overly smoky. So if you're like really sensitive to that barbecue that's really smoky, it's not that way. It was just really, really good.
There was a slight spice to it. I'm one of those people that's super sensitive to spicy, but I was still okay with this item.
And this is one of the booths that we ended up getting 2 items at. Another one was, well, it's kind of a traditional favorite. It's been at Food and Wine for a while, which is
The Snickers caramel salted Mickey Mouse macaroon. So it's basically a Snickers macaroon. And this thing is massive.
Yeah, it's actually a really big size. And don't let that size, it's actually a lot richer than it took both of us to eat it. And it was hard to eat it all because it was so rich.
I don't think we finished it.
No, but
just because it was so filling.
Yeah, and it really does. If you're hangry, get the Snickers. It tasted like a Snickers. It was really good.
So this is one of those items that's great to share. It's heavy. It's not like your traditional macaroon that might be on the lighter side. This is heavy.
Yes. Okay, let's go to our next food booth, which is Uncorked, California.
So I tried the raspberry almond cake, and that had a light almond flavor. I was worried that it might get overpowering, but it wasn't. It was kind of like an undertone. It was an undertone, and they had fresh raspberries in it.
Yeah, it really wasn't oversweet. It was really, I mean, if you're not a sweet tooth, and I'm not a huge sweet tooth person, it is a great dessert that didn't make you feel like you ate a whole bunch of sugar.
But it's really refreshing. I really like this for a California Food and Wine Festival. It just it's perfect.
Yeah, it had a great taste. It was really good. Let's go to our next food booth, which is Golden Dreams.
Okay, so first we tried the blueberry pancake cold brew. Okay, this was not one of my favorite items, and I was surprised.
Yeah, this is one of those items that I think we were expecting something else than what we got. It tasted like a cold brew, like a cinnamon kind of cold brew. It had very little blueberry flavor to it to me.
But it kind of tasted chemically blueberry, if that makes sense, not fresh blueberry.
Yeah.
It just wasn't, I wouldn't get it again.
It wasn't what we were expecting. It didn't taste.
Matter of fact, I don't even think we finished it.
No, it was. Unfortunately, it's just one of those things that was a bust for us. Also, we did get another item at Golden Dreams, which was
the frozen old fashioned. It's a bourbon flavored ice cream. It's non-alcoholic. It has bitters cream and orange zest glaze, but it's got little cherry spheres on it.
Yeah.
But they kind of remind me of boba balls, if I'll be honest.
Yeah, it looks like a frozen, popsicle basically, the creamsicle. Only thing is with this is if you do order it, you got to eat it fast because it does melt really quickly. And we were in colder weather and we were trying to eat it before it all the way melted off because it actually just came out while we were trying to eat it.
So we actually ended up getting spoons to finish it. I was pleasantly surprised. I am not a bourbon person, but this one, I wanted my own. I was actually regretting that we shared this.
Yeah, absolutely. It was really good. It wasn't overly sweet. It had a great, really everything about it was a great dessert.
So truthfully, I wasn't looking forward to it. I was like, okay, this is a food item we'll try from this booth. This was the most surprising item I think we had.
Yep.
And absolutely shockingly good. I was blown away.
So we definitely recommend it. Let's go to our next food booth, which is Delish.
So we got the mac and cheese carbonara. It was very salty. It had that smoky flavor to it. Mm-hmm. There's not much of a cheese flavor.
Yeah, the carbonara cheese doesn't have that much flavor to it. I do like spicy things. I think it was okay. It wasn't my favorite.
It wasn't spicy.
No, it had a little spice to it, but it wasn't much.
I would say with this, we had this after we had the barbecue pulled pork mac and cheese. And if you're comparing the two to which to try, after this it was like a letdown.
Yeah. It was okay.
Yeah, it was okay. But like I said, I think it got ruined for us because we tried the barbecue pulled pork mac and cheese first. If you're wanting to try both, I would reverse that order.
Okay. So let's go to our next booth, which was Garlic Kissed.
So Garlic Kissed, we got the top sirloin. It came with Gruyere, smashed potatoes, black garlic chimichurri sauce, and it had red peppers, and I think it was okay.
Yeah, it wasn't anything groundbreaking.
I think it's a safe dish of the Food and Wine Festival, if you will. You get what it says, and I feel like for Garlic Kiss, they've had much better dishes in the past, so I'd hope maybe in the future they get a little bit more creative, especially since it's garlic-based booth. Mm-hmm. But that's just, I don't think you would be upset if you got it, but I think if you were trying to figure out what your 8 items were, this may not make your list.
It could.
It could. I said may not.
Yeah, but if you're worried about vampires, those garlic mashed potatoes, we'll take care of them. It was really garlicky on those smashed potatoes. But other than that, it was, I guess, what we expected.
Exactly.
So let's go from Garlic Kiss to our next food booth, which was Earth Eats.
Okay, so we tried the Impossible Beef Stroganoff. Honestly, we're carnivores.
We like beef. I grew up in a beef eating state. And the Impossible Beef Stroganoff was probably the best Impossible dish that we've had. We were okay with it. And that for us, so coming from us who love meat, that's a high praise.
Yeah. That's a strong recommendation. It wasn't, I think that's the best of any Impossible burger I've ever had, anything like that. So I think if that's what you're going for, it's great. It's not something I would go back for again, but I'm not disappointed that we tried it.
No, it really did have the the taste of beef stroganoff. I was impressed with that. So yeah,
So the other thing I got was a watermelon cucumber mojito, and it actually had the new tahini twist on it. It comes with a watermelon spear, and the tahini's on it. I love tahini. I am not a fan of this new tahini twist. It tasted almost peppery.
it tasted peppery but really sweet. It was
Different. It wasn't my cup of tea.
yeah. I love tahini. I love putting tahini on mangoes, and
Pineapple,
yeah,
watermelon,
man, yeah.
anything.
It was no. That's all I can say. It just did not go well with the flavor of the watermelon. As far as the mojito itself,
I liked it. Mojitos are probably one of my more favorite alcoholic beverages, so that to me was a really good item. I was happy to see it. It was exactly what I expected. So I was happy with it, minus the tahini twist. Go back to the original.
let's go to our next food booth, which is Cluck a Doodle Moo. I always have problems with this one.
I love that name.
So what we got there was actually, we got a couple things there. We got the pizza wings.
So it was different.
Yeah, they're fried wings with
It's a subtle pizza flavoring. It's like a
they had the-
seasoning on top
yeah.
of it.
It really reminded me of those pizza chips that you could get in the past. They had that pizza flavoring to it with some Parmesan on it. It was okay.
It was really salty, and I think
Yeah.
the other thing we found was, I don't know how, there was an inconsistency
Yeah.
among the wings. Some of them were more flavored than others. They tried.
Yeah.
I would pass, but that's our feeling on it.
Yeah, it was something different.
I could see people, there's be maybe a few people in the crowd that might like, yeah, I think it's worth a try.
And the next item we tried was the barbecue beef slider. It's on a salt and pepper brochet with a gooey cheddar cheese.
That's a barbecue beef slider. This is always a good item. Cluck-a-doodle moo, I feel like is one of those booths that always delivers
Yeah,
on
it's a-
something.
Yeah, it's consistent, good. And this was no exception. I liked the barbecue beef slider. It was good. It's
Yes.
something I go back again. Yes. Let's go to our next food booth, which is California Craft Brews. Well, wait a minute. It's Craft Brews. They can't have much. Well, they had something.
All right, so they had the s'mores caramel tart. I was really excited to try this.
Yeah, we were both really excited. We're like, okay, we love camping. We love s'mores. This is going to be good.
And there's a huge marshmallow on top. It was really sweet. It was hard to, it was really dense.
It was
It was
hard
really
to eat.
filling. Yeah. We actually both ended up liking it better when we just had the filling without the crust.
Yeah, the crust was a little bit different. I don't know
Yeah.
what. It was a graham cracker crust. You think that'd be fine, but I don't know. There was just something different
Yeah.
about it, and we can't put our finger on it. Maybe it was too much butter or something that just kind of threw the flavor a
So
little
we
bit.
preferred the filling, I think.
And we did get another thing here.
Cheeseburger bao. So it's a cheeseburger. It completely delivers on the flavor. It is exactly what it says. There's nothing fancy about it. It's good. It's a solid item.
Would you? And maybe even for a kid, if you're trying to have a kid
Try
try different, something
something new.
different.
There's strong pickle flavor in it from the
Our
sauce.
son will love it. Let's go from California Craft Brews to our next food booth, which is Peppers Caliente. What I got, and Kim doesn't like spicy things, so we're gonna start with that. The shrimp papas loca. She did try a small bite.
It was really spicy. I couldn't even get past the flavor of spice to taste anything else. But I'm one of those people that I'm super sensitive. I tried to take one for the team here.
They didn't go good.
I drank a lot of water after that.
I didn't find it overly spicy. I found things that sometimes you get into that spicy that people way overdo it and your mouth is on fire and it's not fun to eat. It wasn't over spicy.
I was there.
But for me, it was over fishy.
Okay, I didn't get to that part.
And for just to be clear, I don't like over fishy fish, and I
yeah.
love shrimp. But this had a really strong fishy taste. I don't know if the spice that they used on it just brought out that seafood flavor so strong. I could not finish it because it was just too fishy for me.
So the last booth we tried was Ellie style. We got a Baja style fish taco. This was a plant-based fish When you say, hey, Baja style fish taco, I'm thinking about fish, like in the ocean. So that's a little shocking, especially if you don't read the title first and what's in it. I don't sometimes until later because I want to see what I taste about it and then compare it to the. So I was taken a little by surprise. It's like,
Yeah.
what is this?
Everything about it could have been so right, but unfortunately, the plant-based fish, which is really hard to say,
Right, it is.
was the disappointment of it. And unfortunately, it was just because it was like a breaded, and the texture of it was not fish. It reminded me of a really cheap chicken nugget.
But you know what? It was really bland. This dish, I know they're trying to make more vegan, vegetarian dishes, but I really feel like this dish was forgettable, and
It did have a bit of a fishy taste, but it wasn't.
I couldn't get my mind wrapped around it, truthfully.
Yeah, I mean, when you're talking about fish, you're usually thinking about fish that's flaky, that will come, flake off. You have that meat.
We're from Southern California. When you say Baja style fish taco, I have a very different expectation. So that, I think, is what threw me.
Yeah, let us know down below if you tried this and what you think. We're not a huge fan of vegetarian, vegan meals. That's just because of us, and that's kind of our taste preference. But this one really just, we tried to give it a fair chance, and it just didn't work for us. Okay, so let's go ahead and, before we get into our top 5, please like
Subscribe.
and follow along on it. Let's go ahead and get into some different activities you can do at Food and Wine. There's a lot of different things that are going on there that is not just about the food. Well, for us it was about the food, but
Actually, we caught the show Cooking with Jamming Chefs,
Yeah.
and really, that was really cute. That was fun.
So when you're walking by that area, if they're setting up, take a minute and watch them. It's fun. They had a blast. It was.
This is definitely an audience participation. They have you kind of doing some moves and dancing a little bit. It's fun. It's lighthearted. It's adorable. I really think it's one of those kind of fun things that they add in to make it different. And Disney does shows really well.
Also in that area, they have some live music that have live bands playing, which Southern California bands, perfect fit.
Oh yeah, with that, it's nice to have. They have the little food booth, little tables, and you can relax out there, listen to some music, have your food and wine festival items, and it's a nice area. Especially, I feel like towards sunset, evening, it's kind of a nice little vibe area.
So also you can be able to meet Chef Goofy.
So I love that there's a themed character. He's all decked out, and they have a little small area over off of Hollywood Boulevard, and you can get pictures. It's fun.
Unfortunately, we missed
Yeah.
them. And then there's also for kids is the Confection Perfection with the Super Kitties.
Okay, and this is supposed to be kind of a fun little show. Traditionally, when we've gone over and see those shows, they're always cute, they're always adorable, and there's a million kids having the time of their lives.
And they have kids participating in the cooking a lot of times.
A few of them, yeah, they get to make little cupcakes.
Okay, also, there's another thing that Kim loves to do, which is all the...
Merch. Okay, so we'll get into this. I love the Spirit jerseys this year, that darker maroon color that they used for this year's color theme for the Food and Wine Festival.
Kind of meant that Merlot color.
Yeah, I like it because they traditionally tend to go sometimes towards a lighter color, so I like there was a deep, darker color. I don't traditionally get those jerseys, but I really was tempted to this year. This year's merch had some really cute themes. They actually kind of did like some ode to your favorite food booths, because usually the food booths are named the same, just what's offered there's different every year. The one thing they heavily, showcased was avocado time.
Where was avocado time?
That was our question. We're like, you've got all this merch with avocado time, but there's no avocado time. I will say I was disappointed because I love avocados.
There was avocado time, but just not the way everybody thinks about it. It was only a photo opportunity in front of the sign.
Okay, I didn't know where you're going with that.
Yeah, unfortunately, there was no food for avocado time. It was one of the ones that were like, where'd it go?
Yeah, so, but you could get merch with Avocado Time, like the pins, and there were some coasters and other things that had Avocado Time on it. So I was like, interesting. The other pin I got was this little adorable limited edition Mickey Food and Wine Festival pin. These were both $17.99, and I love to get pins to mark kind of like what events we've been at.
And you just like to collect pins.
All right, we'll be honest there. So I think overall, this was a really good year.
Yeah, really, this festival, in past years, we haven't really always covered it because it seemed like the same food over and over a couple times.
Last year, I think, was I was disappointed in the whole thing. This year, I think there was a lot of strong contenders. There was definitely some weak items, but that kind of always happens every year. But I feel like this year's strong items were really good.
So let's go ahead and get our top 5. Number 5 is
Caramel salted Snickers Mickey Mouse macaroon. I know, sorry, that's a mouthful.
and we know this has been on the menu a few times, but really, it's really good, and it continues to be good, and it's really one of those things that if you're wanting to share a dessert, it's a great one to share. So our number 4 is the barbecue beef slider.
It's always a good standby. They always make a good slider.
So yeah, this was a really close one for us between 4 and 5 because the slider is good.
It's a little bit more unique. Snickers is
It's more of every
macaroon
year.
is kind of like every year. It tastes like a Snicker bar.
Yeah, but that barbecue
But-
beef slider was good. I would definitely give it a try. Our number 3.
It's a raspberry almond cake.
Yeah, that was really refreshing, light. If you don't want a heavy dessert, that's the way to go.
Number 2.
Yeah, this is where it got really interesting for me and Kim, and we went back and forth on this. But our number 2 is
It was the barbecued pulled pork mac and cheese. I think almost any other year this would have been our top dish,
absolutely.
but the other one is so unique and different that this was a tough call.
Yeah,
it was so good. Matter of fact, we went back to Food and Wine Festival a second time. The only thing we got was the barbecue pulled pork mac and cheese.
Yeah, and we just wanted to make sure what we were thinking was there because we wanted to make sure the consistency. It was consistent. It was good.
So our thing about it is we each got our own. The second time we went back, it was the only item we got again. And when we went back another day. But to me, it was really hard to finish the whole item because it was so heavy. It is a really big dish, so I definitely think that's a shareable item.
Yes.
Especially if you're eating through the food booths.
Yeah, if you're trying to go through all of them like what we did, it's definitely shared. Okay, so our number 1 is a dessert for 1 year, and that is very unique.
The frozen old fashioned. This was clear cut as soon as we had the first bite. It was crystal clear this was going to be our number 1.
Yeah, it's funny. This was the item that we're like, oh, I'll try it on the way out because we didn't think we were going to like it. We absolutely loved it. I mean, in our mind, for us to love something that was already in kind of our mind, like, I don't think we're going to like this.
It was one of the last dishes we got of the day, and we contemplated going back and getting another one to split, so we each would have had our own, but we were too full. But it was that good.
Yeah, definitely a unique flavor, refreshing. Again, make sure you get a spoon and eat it quickly because it does melt fast.
Truthfully, I could see if we go back to Food and Wine again before the end, I would definitely get another one. I could say at home there was a day I was like, you know what, I kind of had a craving for it, and I don't know if there's ever been an item at the Food and Wine Festival I'm like, ooh, I'm craving that.
I think there may have been a couple, but this is unique.
Yeah.
So, yes, we enjoyed Food and Wine this year, and yes, it was a lot of fun to go to and try all the different foods. I think this year was one of the stronger years that we have seen in a few years of Food and Wine. So with that, I think it's time for us to say goodbye and
Find your magic. Bye, everyone.